8radio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 505 on Racing Show. Another Monday night of race talk here. And I have a lot to talk about, believe it or not. Spent the weekend at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Saw a lot of good racing, a lot of good stuff. Had the opportunity to talk to Coach Joe Gibbs of Joe Gibbs Racing, and Matt Kenseth, the current point leader as well. And got to meet Miss Sprint Cup again, and it was a good time. It was good. So anyway, we'll talk about that stuff a little later on the show. But real quick, just some of the winners this past weekend. Matt Hirschman won the modified race at the Lancaster Open, upstate New York. Eric Beers won the modified feature in Mahoning Valley down in Pennsylvania. Jeff Bodine was announced as going to be the Grand Marshal at the Race of Champions race in Chemung next month. And Roger Turbish, a Long Islander, won the truck race at New London Waterford Speedway. And I'll tell you, Roger Turbish, no matter where he goes, he wins. What a wheel man! I'll tell you what. I watched this guy come up through the ranks, so to speak, and he was a winner right out of the box. So a good run for Roger Turbish. And it was announced that Jimmy Blewett will not be running dirt next year as he plans to go back to the NASCAR mods. Now, I was down in the Egypt Speedway a couple months ago and had a nice conversation with Jimmy Blewett, and we were kind of talking about the whys and the why nots and what he was doing and where he was going in racing. And not that he wasn't a fan of NASCAR, because he is, but he didn't like the cost and the return on that cost to go racing. So one of the things he did is went dirt racing, where there is a bigger return. Why he's going back asphalt modified racing, I don't know. He really hasn't said, other than the fact that there's an opportunity. And Jimmy being a racer, if there's an opportunity to go racing, he's going to go. And I'm sure it was a really good deal for him to leave the dirt racing and go back asphalt modified racing. I've watched him race on the tour. I've watched him race at the weekly series. The guy could get a car around. I remember the first time I met him, it was at a diner in Long Island, Riverhead, and he was driving for Ed Partridge, who's the owner now of Riverhead Raceway. And it was just kind of funny just seeing him sitting there and all quiet. And for those who know Jimmy Blewett, he's not a quiet individual. But it's going to be good to see Jimmy back on asphalt and racing. So good luck to Jimmy moving forward. But anyway, like I said, I went up to New Hampshire for the weekend. And there was a lot of good racing, sort of Whelen Modified Tour race, the Camping World Truck Series, the ACT Tour, from Canada. And again, I said the truck race, and of course the Sprint Cup Series race. And I got to tell you, the modified race, and there's no secret, my links to the modified series, especially on the tour, as an official on the tour for, I guess, again, 10, 12 years. And race director, tower safety director, inspector, whatever they need me to do, I did. And watching the race, and I'll tell you what, it was an awesome race. Awesome race. A lot of slicing and dicing, a lot of pushing and shoving, beating and banging, but in a competitive way, not in a I'm going to wreck you for the spot way. Then there's a late race, very late race caution, and what happens is this is a green-white checker. Race ends up going 102 laps. Doug Coby bumps Ryan Preece out of the league after the white flag flies. They go into 1 and 2s. They were all bunched up. And Doug sent Ryan Preece. I'm talking about from my vantage point, what I saw up in the sprint tower. And he and he motors on for the win. Now, 5 or 6 race cars were caught up in that mess. Now, the gate to victory lane did not open right away. It was NASCAR's up in the tower trying to sort things out, make a decision. Now, I'll tell you what. I watched, I'm going to say, oh man, it has to be one of Ryan Preece's, before he even got his first win on the tour, Ryan Preece was second, Todd Szegedy was leading, and Ryan, white flag flew, they went to turn 1 at Thompson. Ryan Preece got into Todd Szegedy, sent them, took out a couple of cars. Ryan crossed the finish line first, checker flags waving, everybody's ecstatic, and the NASCAR immediately came over the radio and told him that he was putting to the last car in the lead lap for aggressive driving. Now, I know that was years ago, and I know there were different people running the show, but this is one of the things that people were talking about, and it talks about consistency. And I like Doug Coby. He's a tough competitor. He's a true champion. And maybe it was an accident. Maybe Ryan burped when Doug hit the gas. If you've ever driven a race car, you understand that. You know, it's a rhythm. Somebody burps and you don't, you're into them. You're going, man, you got to be going 200 feet a second. And things happen, and happen fast. But in victory lane, and I still was kind of out on this, but you know, somebody called me up after the race and wanted to know what I would have done back in my day. And I said, look, my day came and went. He goes, no, really, what would you have done? And I said, I would have put him to the last car in the lead lap for aggressive driving. But that's not the call that was made. Doug Coby goes into victory lane. They interview him, and he says in his interview, I got into him, I was going for the win. Now, the points, you know, kind of getting tight there, and, you know, and Doug needed those points. You know, Doug is 21 points back now as Woody Pitkat moves into the point lead with Ryan Preece second, 8 points back. But there's 2 races left. So what is, I'm not even going to say NASCAR. What is the tower? What is the tower of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour? What message did they just send out? So they sent out to have at it, boys. And you know what? I never heard a modified winner go into victory lane and be booed by the fans. I've never seen that. And I've been going to modified races for a long time, and he was booed. And the fans let their displeasure be known with that call. And I too think that was just the wrong call to make. You know, sometimes when you don't make a call, it's the wrong call, in my opinion. You know, I know that doesn't hold a lot of water with a lot of people, but you know, I'm going to sit back and take the official hat off, and I'm a fan that day, and I did not like that one bit. You know, you never take out the leader. You never take out the leader. And that taking out that leader wrecked a lot of race cars with a race coming up at Stafford that they got to be at Friday. And in my opinion, it wasn't right. Again, you know, I like Doug Coby. He's a true professional. He speaks well. He presents himself well. But what he did, in my opinion, at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on Saturday afternoon was not right. It was just not right. And, you know, Ryan Preece, although it took him out of the point lead, he's only 8 markers back. That's 4 positions. Woody Pitkat's running really strong. You know, Woody Pitkat was running in New Hampshire with the Jerry Cook tribute car. Jerry Cook going to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, a multi-time national champion. But it wasn't right. And I think NASCAR dropped the ball on this. And they also dropped the ball on something that they've also set precedent with the current regime. And the current regime, what they've done in the past, I'm going by past practice, you blow your motor in practice, what do you have to do? You have to go get another motor and put it in the car that we inspect. I still say we, that the officials inspected prior to the race, prior to going out on the racetrack for practice. And they didn't do that with James Savali. They let some other team, and I'm not going to say who, it doesn't matter, roll out a backup car and just change the numbers. Now, I know for a fact that Justin Bonsignore, that happened to him twice. They had to go through the tireless efforts to swap a motor. It's not an easy thing to do in less than perfect conditions. There were a couple other times when they've done that, but for whatever reason, James Savali didn't have to do that. And don't get me wrong, James Savali's another good competitor, tough guy. He can make it happen. But you have to be consistent, and that's one of the things that any driver has asked for. Any driver that I've talked to about why they don't run their local track, why guys in Long Island go to New Jersey, why guys from New Jersey go to Connecticut, and Connecticut guys come to Long Island, because they want consistent calls. They want to know, if I do X, the penalty is Y. And if I have to do this, this is what my penalty is going to be. Not 1 week it's, all right, you just start last, or, oh, you're going to sit on the infield for 2 laps and then try to blend back in. You can't do stuff like that. And NASCAR really needs to take a look at that. And I'm not bad-mouthing NASCAR. I mean, it might sound like I am, but I'm not. What I'm trying to do is say, hey, listen, guys and gals, you got to be consistent. Yeah, there are mitigating factors that'll change a decision, but you know what? At that level of racing, it should be black and white on an aggressive driving where you never take out the leader. It should be black and white. Hey, you blew up. You got to swap the motor. It's an engine change. It's not a whole entire car change. It's an engine change. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I think I went on and on and on. But anyway, while we're talking about like I said, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour is in New Hampshire this past weekend. Doug Colby from the pole won the race. Patrick Emily with a 2nd place finish, his best finish ever in the history for him. Bobby Santos was 3rd. Ron Silk was 4th. Justin Bonsignor 5th. Followed by Donnie Leah in 6th. Jeffrey Goodale in 7th. Chase Dowling in 8th. Dave Sapienza in 9th. And Woody Pitkat rounding out the top 10. This was a race that had some historical significance to it. It was the 600th race of the Whelen Modified Tour, dating back to 1985. And Jamie Tomeno is the only active driver who has attempted to qualify for all 600 events. I had the chance to sit and chat with Jamie a little bit during the autograph session. And I said to Jamie, I said, this is a big day for you. He goes, yeah, it is. I said, 600 events? He goes, well, I came to 600 events, and 5 I didn't make. I got bumped out on provisionals. I got bumped out. I didn't make it. We have some errors and some problems. He goes, but I've raced in 595 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour events. It's dating back to 1985 when the tour was first started as a touring series. Jamie Tomeno. He'll finish out this season with 597 starts, 602 attempts, and he just needs the first 2 or 3 events in 2016 to break the 600 mark. Actually 3 events, and he'll break 600 starts in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. A true Ironman of the sport. And he had a decent run this past Saturday, and Jamie Tomeno is a past champion, and Jamie Tomeno is the type of guy, he's not going to battle for the wins anymore. He's not going to even battle for the top 5s, although his heart is in it. When you get to a certain age, your mind thinks you're still 25, and your body's saying no. But you know what? He makes it happen. He goes out there each and every week with limited help and resources. Limited. When I say limited, I thought Wade Cole had limited help. Jamie Tomeno rolls up there with his family, his daughter, and now his son's working, down south. His other son's working down south. He has a couple of guys helping him out. But he's still out there with nice-looking equipment. And whether you like Jamie Tomeno or not, and I happen to have utmost respect for Jamie Tomeno. He was the type of guy that any time I had a situation and I needed to talk to someone who knew what they were talking about, Jamie's the guy I went to talk to, and Jamie's good people. So looking forward to him to break that 600 mark, 600 starts. Like I said, it'll probably be the 3rd event in 2016, God willing. But anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the news and some of the stuff that's going on in the world of NASCAR and beyond when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Murphy Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back here, broadcasting live from Studio C at InRavio here in New York. Just looking at the NASCAR Weekly, NASCAR Wheeling All-American Series national points. Let's see what we got here. Alex Pulliam was the national champ there. Thomas Tillerson is second. Taylor Holloway third, Jimmy Zacharias fourth, and Keith Rocco fifth. Now, looking at some of these things, because a lot of this has to do with your best finishes, your best runs. I look at some of these guys, and they've run 50 and 60 races, or 59 races, 45 races, and you look at and I'm going to say a Long Islander, Tommy Rogers, for instance, who won the championship at here on Long Island, and here's a guy that track champion. He's like in the 30s in national points. Why is that? Because a lot of other areas, especially upstate New York, you could run at 3 tracks. Connecticut, you could run at 3 tracks. Down in North Carolina, man, oh man, oh man, you could run 5, 6, 7 tracks. You could run 4 nights a week at some of these places. So, and that's one of the things I think, when NASCAR redesigned or re-set up how the regions were. Years ago, Long Island was not part of the New York system. Long Island was part of the New England group years ago, and I'm talking back in the 70s and the 80s. So yeah, it could be easy for a guy from Long Island to hop on the ferry, go to Waterford, go to Stafford, go to Thompson, go to Seacon, go to those races and get a bunch of other races in. Now they're kind of stuck. They're not going to travel 7, 8 miles or hours, I should say, upstate New York to go to Chemung. They're not going to do that, So what happens is their local racetrack doesn't have enough events for them to get a good run. Now, yeah, they've done some double features and twin features, I should say, and where in 18 weeks, I believe Tommy Rogers ran 21 events according to the national points. I believe the way it worked out. Because you run these twin 50s or these twin 25s in order to help that. But when you're taking your best 16 finishes, man, some guys that have run 59 races and their best 16 finishes are like firsts and seconds. They could have 20 DNFs, but they don't count because you're taking your best runs. So, congratulations to Lee Pulliam on the national championship. It's not easy. You still got to go out there and go to these racetracks and go turn left and turn right and step on the gas. So the fact that this guy did it like 59 times, hey, it's a credit to him. You take what you have in the system and you work it. Unfortunately, I don't think a Long Island guy will ever have a chance of winning a national title just because of the way it's set up. Just my opinion, and I'm sure most of you folks believe and understand that. So, I don't know. Anyway, what do we got going on? All right, like I said, I was up in New Hampshire, and I want to take this opportunity to thank some people for the opportunity to go. And I want to, first of all, thank Sprint. Everybody knows what Sprint is. Sprint is the title sponsor of the Sprint Cup Series. Sprint. I want to thank Sprint for the hospitality in the Sprint Suite this weekend for the event. And I also want to thank Canon USA for their partnership with Sprint and inviting me as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my brother-in-law, Joe Catanzaro, who last minute made this arrangement for me to go, and had a great time. And they got to see some modified racing that they normally wouldn't have watched, and they were like in awe of it. And when I say they, my brother-in-law. And we had a great time, and it was, you know, it's kind of funny. I don't want to say I dressed the part, but I kind of get dressed in a nice business casual when I go to these events. And some of the people that were in the suite thought I was part of NASCAR or Sprint. And because of the knowledge that I had, when they asked me a question, it was kind of interesting. So I had a great time. I finally had to say at one point, I'm just like you. I'm just the guy here watching the races. And they could not believe that. But anyway, up in this suite, Matt Kenseth, current point leader and race winner, we'll talk about that later, was up in the suite and had a little chat with us. And Matt Kenseth and Joe Gibbs, Coach Joe Gibbs, stopped by. I asked Matt Kenseth a question about his off season. I said, you know, hey, Matt, I says, what does your off season consist of? And he kind of looked at me and goes, you mean all 6 weeks of it? And I kind of looked at him and smiled, and he said, you know, after the season ends, then we have, you know, we get together with the family, we do our Thanksgiving thing. Then at the beginning of December, we go to Vegas for the banquet. And he goes, and that's like a race week. We're in Vegas for the longest time, you know, for appearances, for promotional stuff. He goes, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like a race week. He goes, and then we come out of there, and before you know, I take 2 weeks vacation with my family. I go snowmobiling, I go skiing, and I have a great time, and then it's Christmas and New Year's. And he goes, and then we're right back to testing. So he goes, really my off season is really 6 weeks, and in there is a banquet. So he goes, it's really not, it goes fast. You know, in the season, it's a long season, and because he has 2 little girls. I think they were like 6 and 4 years old that he brought up to the suite with him. And it's funny, he was talking about how one of his girls, the oldest one, she would fall asleep sometimes at the races, and she would always have 2 questions when the race was over. She goes, you know, Dad, who finished last? So he'd tell him, and then who won? And then, you know, he would tell him who won. And if he said that he won, they don't believe him. But it was good to see that family interaction with the kids. And you know what? You know, the racetrack for families and racing, that becomes your home away from home. And when, you know, you're there for sometimes 3 days, you know, you're there for 3 days, you're doing your thing. You're living in your motor coach, and your kids are playing with the other kids, and that's home. See, a little bit different than when it was in the 50s and the 60s, because they didn't have motor coaches, they had station wagons. You know, and there was a lot of stories about the late Linda Petty sitting in the back of a station wagon making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and paying all the kids. So, but it was good. But now Coach Joe Gibbs came up, and I'll tell you what, that man is some speaker. That man is some speaker, and I went up to him and I says, Coach, I got to ask you a question. And he said, I says, what made you decide to leave the NFL from a champion caliber team that won Super Bowls? Did you wake up that day and say, I don't want to be an NFL coach anymore? So what he said, he goes, that's a good question. He goes, one day I had enough. He says, I was missing a lot of stuff. My one son got a full scholarship to go play football. My other son got a full scholarship to go play football. And he goes, and I didn't get to see one game. And I sat back and said, I don't want to miss this stuff anymore. He goes, I went into the owner of the Washington Redskins and I said, I'm going to step down as head coach. I'm going to step down totally. I'm going to be leaving football. And there was some dialogue that went back and forth. He said that he wasn't going to discuss. But he said as he walked out of the office and he shut the door, he looked up and he said, Lord, what am I going to do now? Now, yes, he did get the opportunity to go watch his boys play football, but he kind of got bored. And, you know, he's a competitive man. But he's also a very religious man, a very spiritual man. And he said he prayed a bit, and he went into NASCAR racing, because NASCAR racing, to him, is much like the NFL. It's a team sport. It's a team sport, and the team is only as good as this wink and sling. He goes, on your football team, you know, you have your quarterback and your receivers and your running backs, and you got your lines protecting the quarterback, and your defense and just doing the opposite, trying to stop them from moving. He goes, but you know what? He goes, not that this will be a good thing, but you can lose your football game every week, and you're still going to play next week. He goes, NASCAR is a little different. Yeah, we have our team, and we have our driver, and we have our crew chief and our car chief, and every person is important, from the spotter to the jackman to the tire carrier to the guy who gets the fuel. He goes, it's very important. He said, but if you don't win in NASCAR and you can't secure that sponsor, you're done. J.D. Gibbs, his son, has been running the team for quite some time, but he still has an active role in that. And he told a kind of funny story about Denny Hamlin calling about his ACL and getting hurt, and how Denny Hamlin was building a new house, and he spent a lot of money on an indoor basketball court because that's how he tore his ACL, playing basketball. And Joe Gibbs told Denny Hamlin, as we were talking, he said, I told him, save yourself $1 million and don't build that basketball court, because you and basketball don't get along. So a great conversation I had with Joe Gibbs, Coach Gibbs, and talking about, think about this. Think about being a successful person in whatever business or job you're doing, making big money, one of the highest paid in your industry, and you walk away and you go do something else, not knowing if you're going to be successful, with little or no knowledge of that operation. And that's what he did. And he made it happen. Because you know what, folks? In my opinion, he's a winner. He's driven. Coach Joe Gibbs, he's a winner. And no matter what he touches, turns to gold. Why is that? Why is that some people, everything they touch turns to gold? Other people, they keep falling, they keep falling, they keep falling. And you know what? It's not how many times you fall. It's how quickly you get back up after the fall. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Chris West Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
You get a hold, Sal?
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Weller. We're some of the Proto Men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, we're back. We are back. Just noticing some of the folks that are live in the chat room tonight. Tracy, Chirico, business operations man at Bethel Motor Speedway. Always a pleasure to have Tracy on. Tracy, I'll tell you what, nobody works harder in racing behind the scenes than Tracy does to make it happen. And I'll tell you what, I'm proud to say that when my daughter was racing, Tracy was a part of my team, or my daughter's team. Let me rephrase it, my daughter's team. And Tracy and her husband, Chris, big helps. You know, it's in the beginning, every time my daughter tore that thing up, I didn't even have to call Chris. He just came and got it. He put it back together. But good to see you. And WJ, always a pleasure. Anytime I see you logging into my show on a Monday is a good thing, because I know how some Mondays are for you. And we hope that we can beat this thing, hopefully. Gotta have faith. But good to see everybody. Jay Slice, always a pleasure. Jay Slice, my crew chief for a little while there too. All good stuff. 22 figure eight. I had the only yellow race car with red and white stripes on it. And Bill, 22 figure eight, had the only figure eight car with yellow stripes on his. Only him and I know what that means. But yes, Jay Slice is saying, is it me or did anyone else notice now that the chase started, unless someone wrecks, they just stay with 16 cars in the chase? You know, yeah, I noticed that as well. And, you know, this whole chase thing, you know, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but this whole chase thing, and then moving forward, there's one more race for this segment of it. It'll be Dover this upcoming weekend, and we're going to eliminate 4 guys. And, you know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. You have a bad week there, man. You're kind of done. You know, you're kind of done, and that's kind of what happens, you know, with this chasing. And I don't know if that was the plan going forward. I don't know if it was or not. I do know this. Is that, you know, when you look at this, these 16 guys, or I should say 16 drivers, going to make the chase, as we all know. And after 3 races, you're going to eliminate 4. And, you know, 2 are pretty obvious right now anyway. Clinton Boyer and Kevin Harvick. Clint Boyer 81 points back in the chase, and Kevin Harvick is 65 points back. Now, when you look at the 4 that they're going to eliminate now, because they got to eliminate 4, it's going to be pretty close, because, you know, 16 minus 4, you're going to go down to 12. And you're looking at, you know, Dale Jr. might not get in. Jamie McMurray and Dale kind of battling out. Because, you know, Jamie McMurray is 41 back. Dale Jr. is 42 back. Kyle Busch is 43 back. Is Paul Menard also 43 back. Whereas Harvick, I said, is 65 and Boyer is 81. And, you know, it's going to be tough there. Those 4 guys, you know, that are 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, you know, a lot could happen in there. You know, I'm just thinking, you know, Jeff Gordon, he's kind of, you know, 10 points separate him and Jay McMurray for the top 10 in that location and in that standing. So it's going to be interesting what happens at Dover. Dover, a tough place, you know. And I agree, WJ. You know, I'm an old school guy, and I'm kind of old fashioned. And I understand why they made the chase. I understand that, you know, to create, you know, excitement, create awareness to what's going on. But, you know, here's how I'm thinking it should be. It should be the guy with the most points at the end is the winner. Yeah, in some seasons, the point leader basically didn't even have to show up to the last event. Yeah, he did. But you know what? There were a lot of other internal battles going on. Who's going to make the top 5 in points? Who's going to make the top 10 in points? Or the elusive top 20 in points, where there's a big difference in payoff between the top 20 and and the 21st guy, because the top 20 gets point fund money. The guy in 21st doesn't. You know, the old point fund money. You know, and I'll tell you what, you know, when you look at this whole Chase thing, you know, I don't know. I don't know if what was intended is actually happening. And there's no way to measure that. There's no way to put a measurement on that. We'll get a return on that. Hey, is this working? You know, I'm sure the powers to be, when they went in that closed room and they went in that conference room, when they said, listen, we need to build some excitement for our season, because once football starts, and college football in the South and the Midwest is big, and once football starts, people are going to be watching football. They're not going to be watching racing. And the advertisers probably went to them and said, hey, listen, you know, I'm not going to, you know, prime time on a Sunday afternoon, we'll put football on. Our money's going with football. So NASCAR had to come up with this playoff system. And I'm not a fan, you know, it's like hockey, you know, and I know 22 Figure is a big hockey fan. And I can remember there was a few years, back in the 80s, I'm kind of dating myself here, where the NHL only had 19 teams. They played a full season to eliminate 3 teams. And the 16-seeded team played the first in the playoff and so on until it was down to 2, and you had just Stanley Cup Finals. Was kind of not exciting, you know, because a team with an inferior record could actually make it into the Stanley Cup Finals, because in a situation like that, it's the team that's the hottest. Now, racing on any given day, that could change. You know, you could be in a wreck. You know, I mean, look at you know, Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer. I mean, they've had some tough luck in these first couple of races. And now look, you know, they don't even have a shot. Now they're just racing for pride. You know, Jeff Gordon, you know, he's retiring. And I don't think he's retiring because of, you know, this chase format. Jeff Gordon, for those who don't know, Jeff Gordon has a very bad back. Just getting in and out of the race car is painful, let alone sitting there for 4 hours, beating and banging around. And if you ever watch Mark Martin, if you ever see Mark Martin walk around the garage area, Mark Martin, his shoulders are here and his hips are here. His back is so messed up that, you know, and he's had it fixed. Jerry Cook, same thing. Watch Jerry Cook walk. That's not the Jerry Cook I remember when I was a kid walking around. You know, racing beats you up. Racing beats you up. And WJ hit the nail right on the head. It's to create more money for NASCAR. Sell that commercial spot. Hey, we got a playoff system coming. Let's make this happen. And it's all about money. You know, NASCAR is a business. They're there to make money. And I know a lot of people, you know, think they should just be a charitable organization and let the drivers make millions of dollars and all that kind of good stuff. Well, that's not how it works. It's a business. You know, and you're right. I'm a true fan of racing. Kind of, because I know right here on an anniversary show, I'm not really a race fan, but I understand the business of racing. And, you know, when you look at, like WJ saying, you know, now that NBC put it on a secondary station, you know, is it a secondary station? I'll tell you what, I think the future of TV is changing. You know, think about just how TV was 20 years ago. You basically had ABC, NBC, CBS, then you had WNEW, which became Fox. Here locally in New York, you had WOR9, WPIX11, and then you had a public access channel 13. Cable came into existence in the 70s, and it was a bunch of shows here, a bunch of shows there, a movie channel, and they got you to start paying. And it was only a little bit, and then it was a little bit more, a little bit more. Now cable bills are like a car payment, you know, used to be. You know, but think about this now. Think about this. NASCAR had to do something to put excitement into the advertisers. The people were paying, and they had to put these millions and millions of dollars into the program, and there was a little revenue sharing for the drivers, not the guys down in the weekly level. Those are the guys that need it. But, you know, the revenue share went to the upper guys, and, you know, that's just the business of racing. Just the business of racing. But anyway, while we're talking about New Hampshire and the Sprint Cup guys, let's see, what do we have here? Let's see. Oh, Brad Keselowski. All right. He's not a happy camper. For those who watched the race, Brad Keselowski was not pleased after receiving a pass-through penalty late in the race for jumping the restart. While running second on lap 242, there was a restart. He beat Greg Biffle to the line. You can't do that. You can't do that. You don't beat him to the line. Watch the replay. Watch the replay. He throws it into gear, Biff, and then all of a sudden, he lifts. Everybody in that outside row stacked up. Where's Keselowski going to go? He's already banging through the gearbox. He beats him to the line. NASCAR needed to make a judgment call there saying, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't do that. You can't lift it. I even think he hit the brakes because everybody from the outside pole, which the poles that are the sides, he wants to go on the outside, he can. So everybody down the line is 6 or 7 cars, beep, 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 bang, 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 bumper to bumper to bumper. Keselowski, he's gone. He's gone. They shouldn't have made that call, and Keselowski has every right to be upset about that decision. You know, it took him out of a decent finish. You know, it just took him out of a decent finish, and I don't think that was right. You know, like I said, you know, Greg Biff will slow down and 5 cars beat and bang bumpers. Come on, that's not the way to go. But anyway, the way the points are looking with the chase going on, we got Matt Kenseth is leading the points. Matt, like I said, he came up to the sprint suite and he spoke with us. Denny Hamlin is second, 6 points back. Carl Edwards is third, 10 points back, as is Joey Logano in fourth, 10 points back. Jimmy Johnson, 16 points back in fifth. Ryan Newman, 25 points back in sixth. Kurt Busch is seventh, 26 back. Brad Keselowski is 27th back in eighth place, and he could have been in the top 5 points if they didn't have that penalty. Martin Truex Jr. is 9th, 28 back. Jeff Gordon is 31 back in 10, and we already spoke about the other guys. So, again, after Dover, we're going to eliminate 4 drivers, and we'll see where that goes from there. And it's going to be interesting. Camping World Truck Series was also in New Hampshire. And Austin Dillon was the winner from the pole. Matt Crafton was second. Johnny Sauter third. Timothy Peters was fourth. We had John Hunter Nemechek is fifth. Daniel Hemrick sixth. Eric Jones seventh. Austin Thyro eighth. Dalton Sargent ninth. And Gray Golding rounding out the top 10. With 5 events left in the Camping World Truck Series, we have Eric Jones as the point leader, followed by Matt Crafton, 7 out. Tyler Reddick, 19 out in third. Johnny Sauter, 49 out in fourth. And Daniel Hemrick is 108 points out in fifth. So that's become a 3-truck battle for the championship with 5 events left, because I'm not thinking Johnny Sauter is going to make up 49 points in 5 races. Although he could, but it's not likely, and Daniel Hemrick is so far back. He just wants to hang on to that top 5 in points. Wants to hang on. The Xfinity Series was at Kentucky, and they will be heading to Dover with the Sprint Cup Series, and the trucks will be headed to Vegas. But the Xfinity Series, Ryan Blaney was the winner there. Ty Dillon second. Regan Smith was third. Chase Elliott fourth. Brandon Jones was fifth. Brendan Gaughan sixth. Chris Buescher seventh. Eric Jones eighth. Darrell Wallace Jr. ninth. And Matt Tiffeth rounding out the top 10. Daniel Suarez took the pole for that event. And with 6 races remaining in the Xfinity Series, it looks like this Chris Buescher is the point leader, followed by Ty Dillon, 19 back. 25 points back is Chase Elliott. Regan Smith, 47 back in fourth. And Darrell Wallace Jr., 109 points back in 5th place. Looks like there, too, is a 3-car race for the championship. So it should be interesting. Regan Smith has a mathematical shot at it, as does Darrell Wallace Jr., but I just don't think that would happen. The people all above them would have to finish last or better. I don't know how you finish better than last. Maybe second to last for anything to happen there. So that's where that's standing. So it's going to be interesting. It's hard to believe that the season is winding down as we start to pick champions and get them in place. The banquet is less than 2 months away for the top 3 series. Again, be out in Vegas for the Sprint Cup Series. And I used to like the Sprint Cup Series when it was in New York at the Waldorf Astoria, because if you wanted to go, you can go into the city and kind of watch the cars, look at the cars, and touch them and feel them, and all kind of good stuff. It's out in Vegas. So you know, we miss out. We miss out. And the Touring Series banquet is down in the Hall of Fame. And I think that's a way to get people to attend the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, from what I'm being told, is not being visited as much as they thought it would be, and kind of not making the money that needed to be made. And And one of those things has to do with they got to change it up once in a while. Now, I've been there, you know, a dozen times, and for the most part, it's basically the same stuff. But there's some stuff that wait, that wasn't there last time. They do change out certain things, and the Richie Evans car was moved from there, and you know that should have stayed. Maybe they're going to put the Jerry Cook car there. I don't know. But speaking of Jerry Cook, I think I said earlier, Woody Pitkat did a tribute car to Jerry Cook, Hall of Fame inductee. And when you look at the Hall of Fame and its proximity to the racing world of NASCAR, it's right smack dab, pretty much in the middle. But when you think of the people who, locals aren't going to go there regularly. They're just not going to go. Think about all the stuff that is in your neck of the woods, whether you're in Long Island, whether you're in Pennsylvania, Florida, you know, Texas, California, wherever you may be. The stuff that's in your own backyard, you're not going to check out. Right here on Long Island, the Himes Museum of Race and Nostalgia is right here. You could spend a week there and not see everything. And those are the things, you know, everybody's going to say when it's gone, God forbid, that when Marty's gone and his kids no longer have the ability to keep it going and all this stuff just disappears, people are going to say, wow, I wish I should have went there. I should have went. Don't say shoulda, don't say woulda, don't say coulda. Go there. Give Marty a call and I'll tell you what, you'll get a guided tour, and that'll make this man feel any better, you know, and more proud of what he has there by giving him a call and say, Marty, I want to come see your stuff. When can I come? And that's what it's all about. And, you know, going to see this old stuff, you know, stuff from when you would, you know, and name a driver. And Marty will say, I'll be right back. And he'll come out with something from that driver. You know, I wish I would have went out there sooner or earlier in life, you know, but I didn't, because I knew it would always be there. And I'm glad I've gone. I'm glad I've become, you know, friends with Marty and his family, and have the opportunity to go there and see that. And we have some footage that we're going to show in the upcoming weeks from our last visit to Marty Himes. So it's all good. And, you know, going back to New Hampshire, you know, WJ says, New Hampshire needs Dover-type banking to have real races, too flat for good racing. And it is flat. It's like 2 to 4 degrees down the straightaways, and it's, you know, it's only a little bit bigger on the corners. It's a whole different thing than like a Bristol, Daytona type of thing. It's a flat racetrack. It's a little different, and it's tough to drive. And, you know, when you watch the modifieds run there and the Sprint Cup Series cars there, and then the trucks, when you watch them running, you know, the modifieds with restrictor plates are just as fast as the Cup cars. And, you know, New Hampshire, one of my favorite tracks to go to, because you can see everything. It's not that small that it's, you know, a wreck fest, but it's also not that big where you can't see it. We have about 10 or 12 minutes, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we come back. We'll start to wrap it up when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Enravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Enravio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from Enravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. So I was just scrolling through the chat, and 22 Figure 8 had said something. I think we talked about this on the show, that what's missing today is characters. There's no characters. When I say characters, the guy, the villain, the guy that everybody wants to see, you know, there's just not there. And I think if we could have that, we'd also have some new fans. Anyway, we've got a quick mention to any of our New York area viewers. The infamous North Lindenhurst Fire Department is once again hosting their annual Halloween party, October 24th at 7 p.m. The massive event will include a DJ, a huge dinner, beer, wine, soda, door prizes, and a costume contest. That's October 24th. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and tickets are just $30 per person. For more information, just call 631-226-5809. That's 631-226-5809. It's a great time, and they put on some nice functions there at the North Lindenhurst Fire Department. And this is an opportunity to help volunteers who give up their time and sacrifice time from their family and risk their lives protecting their community. So if you're looking for something to do a week before Halloween and you want to go to a nice gathering, there you go, North Lindenhurst Fire Department Halloween party. So anyway, it'll be good. Good. So anyway, you know, I got you guys chatting about Marty Himes' place, and I'll tell you what, you know, everything's in there so tight and so compact, and you know, not only did I, as WJ said, wish I had a bigger piece of land. I wish there was a warehouse somewhere that this stuff could be put in and preserved properly. Because the cost to refurbish these cars and paint them up to what they used to be just from being weathered, you know, you know, I go look at the Ace of Spades, Al D'Angelo, and I look at that and it's like, wow, you know, the 590 car that was green and yellow at one time, bright green and bright yellow, the paint is all fading. You know, yeah, you could cover them up just so much, but you know, weather destroys this stuff, and you know, it's kind of a shame. But you know, you walk through the different containers, sea containers, trailers, garages, through his house, and you see stuff. And if you're a racer, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw something of yours there. If you saw maybe a photograph of your own car, or maybe a hat that you had, or a fire suit, or a trophy that you didn't claim. You know, there's a lot of good stuff there, a lot of good stuff. And dating back to, wow, before I was even born, and that was one heck of a long time ago. Long time ago, but anyway. So this weekend, some stuff. Mahoning Valley is having a nice 100-lapper for modifieds down in Pennsylvania. That should be a good race. I attended my first race there ever just a couple of years ago, just maybe 2 weeks shy of 2 years ago. I didn't want to go, but I went. And I have no regrets. I had a great time there, met some good people. Yes, they are, WJ, they are. To a degree, it's a public service announcement, which we do from time to time for groups and organizations that are trying to promote their stuff. Kind of give back to the community type of thing, because if it wasn't for the community, I wouldn't be here. So we do that, we do those things, but anyway. But, you know, there's a lot of good stuff coming up. We have the Eastern States 200 coming up at Orange County Fair Speedway at the end of October. The fall final at Stafford is this weekend also for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. We got that going on. There's some good shows coming up at Bethel, up in upstate New York. So there's a lot of good racing still to come, even though the season's winding down. And you know, it's all going to be all fun and good, and you know, pick and choose. And then, of course, we got the North-South Shootout down in the Concord Motorsports Park back, I believe, in November. So I'm looking forward to going down to that one because I never went when it used to be there. I went to Caraway in North Carolina, but I never went to Concord. So I'm looking forward to taking that trip. Hopefully, see how it goes. But it's all good. A lot of stuff happening in racing. What else we got going? Oh, yes, it was announced real quick. I just remember Tony Stewart's going to be announcing Wednesday, rumor has it, through what I heard in the garage area, that 2016 will be his last season. He'll be stepping down as a driver in the Stewart Haas, number 14. And rumored to go in that seat is Clint Boyer. So, everybody wonder, well, if Tony steps down, who's going to drive? Where's Clint Boyer going? No. Now Clint Boyer has a place to go in 2017. And it's weird saying that, 2017. But anyway. And we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody. As WJ, I believe you're right. I'm going to wrap it up now. So, folks, I want to thank everybody for taking the time. We had a nice chat room tonight, as always, and I appreciate that. InRavio appreciates that. And for those who don't go in the chat room, that we know you're watching, I want to thank you as well. It's all good, and I appreciate everything you folks do for InRavio and for the 505 on Racing Show, and for me as well. And real quick, don't forget, October 18th is the fundraiser for my daughter Erin, who is severely injured in a WKA event at Riverhead Raceway. And the brokerage house in Levittown, Long Island, has given us the opportunity to sell the tickets. And we will get 100%, my daughter will get 100% of the ticket sales, and the brokerage will get the food and the liquor. There'll be baskets of cheer, there'll be giveaways, there'll be 50-50. So, if you want to come down, give me a shout, and we'll get there. And it's for a good cause. But anyway, again, I want to thank everybody for coming on board and watching and listening and contributing to the show. This ain't Joe's show, it's your show too. And wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this weekend, until our next show, please be safe, please be careful, have a great time. Tell somebody you love them, give them a good hug, and God bless you all. Good night, folks. See you next week.